Hi, in this video we will go over the good and the bad points of the WordPress database backup plugin. Now backups are a very important part of running a website and one that sometimes can be forgotten, especially if you're a little bit new to running a website and you're just busy trying to make everything work. But even though your host may be making backups of your account, they might not be making them often enough for you, or you may just want to make your own backups that are easier for you to restore. And the reason for this is that sometimes your host might need to charge you a fee to restore a backup, or if they do restore your backup, they may need to restore your whole account instead of just one install of WordPress. So if you have a lot of multiple different sites running in your account, then you may have to restore them all, which might not be what you want. Now, this is just one of several plugins that you can get to back up your database, and one of the best things about this plugin is that it's very simple to install and use. And you can find the settings for it under Tools, Backup. And using this plugin, you can do both instant backups as well as scheduled backups. Now, you can see here from the tables that it doesn't really give you a lot of choice in terms of which of your database tables you want to back up. About the only choices that you have here are to include extra tables, for instance, for extra plugins that you might have installed. And you can also choose to exclude spam comments from the comments when it backs them up, and extra post revisions, which will keep your database a little bit smaller. But you can see that the basic WordPress tables are always going to be included, so you have no ability to exclude any of them for any reason using this plugin. So it's not really very flexible in that respect. Now, as far as the backup options, this is for the instant backup, and you can choose just pretty much what to do with the backup file, and it uses the options from up here when you're doing the instant backup. You can choose to save it to a folder on the server, and it creates this folder for you with a sort of randomized name, which makes it a little bit harder for somebody to guess where your backups are stored. You can also download them to your computer instantly, and you can also have it email you the backup. And all you have to do is just set the options up here and click on Backup Now, and it will make you a backup of your database and either put it on the server or download it to your computer or email it to you. Now, if you go to the scheduled backup, you can see that there are fewer options here. Now, you can choose how often you want it to be scheduled and where you want it to email, but it always wants to email it to you. And you don't really have any of the options that you had up here where you could exclude the spam comments or extra post revisions on the scheduled backups. It's always going to include those. And then the only other thing that you really can choose is the extra tables, whether you want those backed up or not. And I think that the reason that they force you to have it emailed is so that you don't end up with a folder full of backups that somebody might find and take. I guess that they assume that if you do it instantly and you have it saved to the server that you're going to go and retrieve that file right away. But I think that's really kind of a bit of a pain in the neck. So that's a point that I think is really a little bit on the weak side in this plugin. Now, also compared to some of the other plugins that I've seen that do backups, the lack of options of what to do with the backup file and the scheduling options is really a downside, and I probably would choose another plugin just personally myself, because I know that there are several out there that will allow you to back up your files and the database as well to Amazon or to SugarSync or even to your Dropbox. And so there are definitely options that will allow you to do a little bit more than this plugin. There's also one other thing that I'd like to mention about this plugin, and that this plugin has not been maintained in a couple of years. Though it still seems to work fairly well, the developer just hasn't done any more on it, and when you go to install it, WordPress will warn you that it hasn't been tested with later versions of WordPress. Now, it does still seem to be working with WordPress 3.5 because that's what I have installed here, and it does seem to work, but there's no guarantee that future versions of WordPress won't break this plugin unexpectedly because it's no longer being maintained. So that's it for the pluses and minuses of the WordPress database backup plugin, and I will talk to you again soon.